I really hope everything's working.
I know. It's a mess. Power and Speed, we are. Or,
Yep.
Should I say we are Power and Speed?
I don't know.
We are Power and Speed. 908-751-0211. Nobody ever calls. I don't know why I do that anymore.
So should I do the like us on Facebook and iTunes?
Oh, sure. This week you remember.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Not too late.
Go ahead.
Come on. Do
Like
it.
us on Facebook and iTunes. What?
Now listen, the first thing we got to do is apologize to the listeners
Sorry, listeners.
that we didn't post anything.
We suck.
Well, it's not. No, we don't suck. It's just we have things to do.
Some of us suck.
Yeah, some of us suck. So I mean,
He's pointing the finger.
Yeah, at a certain direction. It's when you try to do this and you're used to having everybody here. I did one by myself, which I think some people listen to. I didn't post it because it was awful.
Yeah.
I tried to do one with Tad.
Yeah.
And our entire half-hour conversation before said time that Tad arrived somehow or another got put in the deleted folder, and he emptied the recycle bin. I don't really know what happened. I mean, I'm holding my hands up, and he holds his hands up to me like, well, what?
I know. Yeah, but it's hard.
It is hard.
We're not blaming you, Pat. Actually, Mike blamed you all week, man. He would call and say.
So that's look, those 2 episodes, if somebody really, really wants to hear them, I guess I'll put them up, but I'd rather put them up like maybe 6 weeks from now, like when they're forgotten.
Yeah, right.
And the only people that find it already like what they're listening to, so they could be like, what the hell happened there?
This can't be the first one somebody listens to.
Yeah.
And we're gaining it's really funny. We're gaining listeners and likes on Facebook. I don't want to say an alarming rate because it's really not alarming at all, but it's way faster
More than before.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we're getting hundreds of likes now versus, tens of likes at a time. It's
I don't even know if that shit matters.
Well, it may not matter, but it shows more enthusiasm. It just shows more people.
Yeah.
And more people writing on the page.
If you get 5 a week versus, 60 a week, you got to want to have the 60, right?
I would say so.
Wow, you're brilliant.
No, but I mean,
brilliant.
The whole like thing.
I know. And yeah,
look, the whole Facebook thing.
I know it's only some kind of barometer.
That's for these whippersnappers. Okay, that do the Facebook and the Twitters and everything else.
I forgot. Yeah, listen to you,
Mr. Tweety.
Yeah,
I am a little
Mister. I take down
they can't even
a website a night Twitter guy.
They can't even follow me.
No, they can't.
That would be it'd be like, wow, Mike is not who I thought.
It's funny. Like starting at 11 o'clock at night, a lot of nights, I get text from him saying, I this person, this star, this celebrity, I just got blocked by this one, I got blocked by this one, or I shut down Piers Morgan's whole Twitter feed.
Well, that hasn't happened.
That's not that bad.
But it happened.
Yeah, that hasn't happened in a while. But that was when he was here and he was championing his anti-gun stuff and everything else. That's what I had a problem with.
Oh, that was funny.
But I've actually left him alone. I've actually swung in his direction as far as the side goes. I think that Piers has gotten a little better. So I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I kind of.
But it was told to me that let me make a very specific clarification.
Go.
This is not I do not have a. This is I have STD. STD.
We're going right to that.
Yes. Because it fits in with me hating on people I don't like on Twitter.
Yeah. I'm on board. I've encountered a bunch of STD lately. Kind of daily.
Well, what this is, and I'll tell the story real quick, is I had occasion to talk to an ex-girlfriend who is now a licensed
monster.
Well, yeah, monster. I'm sure a monster. She wouldn't send me a picture, so I'm sure she's a monster. And actually, since she managed to locate me through back channels on the Facebook, that was probably, well, you know what? Screw her after what I have to say here.
Yeah.
But we had a long conversation, and then I realized that she was analyzing everything I said.
Well, tell them why she was analyzing it.
Why? Because she wanted to know. Well, she asked what I was up to. What am I doing? Am I still building motors? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but professionally.
Yeah,
you're getting to
that's
that.
what I mean.
Sorry,
but I realized that she's like, giving me the things like, and how do you feel about that? And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I
she's practicing. You're a case study.
Then I realized, and I was like, yo, are you trying to fucking crawl around in my head. And she goes, no, but she said, you've got some issues. Oh, really? But, and I mean, I know I have some issues. I have way too many security cameras, way too many firearms.
Don't we all?
I have issues. But this one got me. She goes, you have a low tolerance for people. And I said, well, would that be the same as antisocial? And she goes, no, it seems like specifically people you feel that are stupid. And immediately came to mind. I said, well, I talk to Alan every day. And and then I had to think about it.
Yeah, but you would think that would numb you.
No,
because he is the cornerstone. He is by which all others are judged.
No, but I try to fix him. I feel there's hope. So I guess what it is, I have no tolerance for stupid people without hope.
Is he listening?
So who, Alan?
Yeah.
He might be.
God.
Well,
I just said he's the cornerstone of stupid.
But she told me that I have STD. And it's something that she's going to, and she might even write a paper about it. And I mean, I don't think that was exactly what she came up with. That's kind of what we came up with at the end after joking about it. But it stands for stupid threshold disorder. That's what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
I would champion that. I don't think that's a disorder. I think that's an attribute.
Yeah, agreed. Well, 5 minutes after this conversation with her, he called me. He's like, he explained it to me. I'm like, yeah, we're that's exactly what we are. Because most people out there are stupid and we have no tolerance for it.
So we actually have a caller.
Not our listeners.
From Pennsylvania. So since it's a rare occasion, I'm going to bring this guy in.
Yeah, do it.
Hang on a minute.
Oh, boy.
Watch this guy abuse me.
I hope.
Caller, you're on the air.
Hello.
Yeah, buddy. Who's this?
Well, this is Rich from PA.
Hi, Rich. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good.
What you got for the show?
What was that?
I said, what do you have for the show?
I just wanted to call in to bust your balls a little bit about busting on dirt racing.
Okay, have at it. Bust balls.
Listen, I can do this because I was on that side of it for a long time. And not a real long time. Like, see, that's the other problem.
Well, you kind of still are. I mean, your brother still has an operation.
Well, he's got 3 of them.
Yeah.
Well, now he's completely fucked. His shoulder's screwed. He's not driving anything.
Is his Corvette still here?
Yeah.
I'm going to take that home tonight.
Yeah. Well, you can text him about that.
I'm going to.
Look, this is what this comes down to. And I mean, no offense to most of the circle track guys out there, but it's not going to come out good. They are generally behind technology at least 5 years, at least. So I'm not picking on you as a circle track guy. I'm not picking on.
Yes, he is.
No, I'm not. It's just that's where you guys are, and I mean I don't know what to say. Wow, where are you? You got an air hose up your ass?
Yeah, I'm actually at work.
Oh, okay.
I agree with you, and actually, I would think you're more along the lines of like 10 years behind.
Oh, so who's hating now? This guy's hating.
Well, no. I grew up around dirt racing, and my grandfather built race cars and stuff like that for forever, and did some crewing on a race team out here it was just a small little deal at a small circle track, but
what track?
Big Diamond Raceway.
I knew it was going to be Big Diamond.
Yeah, well, Big Diamond and Grandview are the two big ones out there.
You know Larry Lombardo?
Well, yeah, everybody has. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to, if you're just getting into like engine stuff and shit like that, then dirt racing is a really good way to learn how to do that kind of stuff. But as far as everything else goes, I mean, and a lot of it is the rules, because there's a lot of old timers that are in the rule making end of it that they don't want to accept the change.
Well, here's the frustrating part from an engine builder perspective. When we got into this, when we got into the side of deciding what we were going to build, what we were going to do for 2-barrel sportsman racing, we just used our head and we got the common stuff together that we thought we need to do. And we killed them instantly. So we figured that the same thought process would hold true when we moved to modified. But the problem is the quote-unquote hillbillies that have been around this their entire life, that their grandfathers did it, their grandfather's grandfather, like however far back you can go, and they have all of this hang around the car knowledge that they've gained over the years. We didn't have that. So the frustrating thing to an engine builder is that when you do something for a circle track guy, it's awful. Because no matter how much power you give the guy, if he's not a good guy, you look like a SPAC disc. And that's the problem.
Yep. And like you said, it's no matter how much power, a lot of it, 90% of circle track stuff, it's not always the guy that has the most horsepower that wins. It's 90% of it is whoever has their car set up for the track. It's just like drag racing. If you go out there and all you do is spin, you're never going to win.
Yep.
So, it's a lot of it is chassis setup. Do you do your shots? Who does your stuff? Who does your shots? And I used to work in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I used to make all the shock shafts for Penske Racing shops. And it's a very, very tight knit game when it comes to that. And a lot of it, like I said, 90% of it, I would say, is chassis setup.
Right. Yeah, well, a late engine builder, well, I guess I'll use that term. It's hard for me to speak badly of the guy because he's gone. But Mr. John T. Burnett used to say that if you give me a good car, Michael, I'll make it look like you got two motors in that car. And that's what he used to say.
He's right, too.
All right, man, we're going to let you go, but thanks for listening. Your phone is like super noisy.
And thanks for calling like nobody else does.
Yeah, this guy gets a gold. He's got to get a T-shirt whenever Tom gets off his ass and figures something out. Remember that? I got it all figured out. I'm going to get you a T-shirt, guy.
Fail.
Yeah.
Well, send me a text message or something like that. That'd be all right.
All right. You got it.
Will do.
See ya.
All right, man.
I would have kept him on longer, but that phone was bad.
Yeah, I'm
going to have to edit that out and post. Thanks. Guy gave me a lot of work. Crap.
He's fine.
Yeah. So
at least he called.
He was a caller.
I do feel bad for picking on the circle track guys, but he's actually right. They're 10 years behind.
Yeah.
I remember when we first moved into the modified class with the big blocks, we approached it kind of like you'd approach a super stock deal.
Yeah.
So we had a Jessel Tappet, we had all decent stuff for back then. And, we were running, I don't know, like 310 pounds on the seat of valve spring pressure. And I remember one of the old guys there who's kicking our ass every week, by the way.
Yeah.
Destroying us.
Because he had that car with two engines in it.
Yeah. Well, he destroyed, won everything that year. Says, well, my motor's only got 240 on the seat because if you have more than that, you'll just knock the lifters right out of the thing. I'm like, oh, my God. I was like, you guys are retarded.
Yeah. He heard somebody say that.
Well, no, he really did have back then 245 pounds on the seat.
No, but he said he heard somebody knocking
the lifters out. Either that or, he had a motor break and the guy says, well, the guy who put your motor
the lifters
together
out of it.
Put 2 inch spring pressure on it, knock the lifters. Who knows? Yeah, they're a little behind the times.
I want to talk about balancing, but we really can't.
Sure we can. What's the matter, Tom? You look a little frustrated.
Yeah. No, I got a guy, and I got a guy who.
All right, now who has ST Day?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I think it's you.
Yeah. No, I got this guy who he's complaining about a set of connecting rods that one of them is 0.7 of a gram light.
Seriously?
0.7 of a gram. Not going to use it. He's not going to use it. 0.7 of a gram. This is where it's come to, and I got to tell you, man, in the import world, there are very few engine builders that know anything. We shouldn't even call them engine builders.
Well, for me being in Englishtown, there's very few drivers that know how to shift. So
that too. But it's kind of, and I'm not picking on them just like you're not picking on dirt guys, but I mean, switch a piston. Put a heavier piston in that hole.
Didn't we go through this a while back with a guy we told to grind the rod bolts for block clearance, and he was concerned about that exact thing?
Yeah. Who was that?
I don't remember, but he's had his turn in the barrel today.
Yeah, once already.
So once already. We'll give him a pass.
Okay.
But yeah, that is kind of stupid. But I mean, what do you do as a representative for your company? Like,
well, we got to offer to send him a rod because technically he's right. We have a spec that we go by, and we hold it, and I don't know if our scale missed it or a fly landed on it or who knows? It's 0.7 of a gram.
But wait a minute. But you would hold. Listen, I bought your connecting rods before, and I don't remember them all being within plus or minus 1 gram. Right?
Well, it's plus or minus 3. So one was 0.7 out. So it was.
So wait a minute.
3.7.
Hold on. So the first 3 don't bother the guy.
No,
but the 7/10 does because it puts him outside of his window.
Exactly.
Now, wait, does that just define lunacy or
No,
what?
it defines STD.
I mean, seriously, like this is, oh boy.
I know.
God, why do people think stuff like this?
I don't know. But you can't see. Here's the thing: if we say if I tell him this like a regular person and I chuckle, it goes on the internet. Oh yeah, that guy called up and you made fun of me, and they're wrong, and here's a picture, and blah blah blah. It's awful.
Wow.
And he'll have people getting on his side saying, "Oh yeah, you're right. I know a guy that blew one up because he was 0.2 of a gram." It's crazy.
Well, for the most part, the internet does breed stupid.
Oh yeah,
but occasionally there's some good stuff on the internet.
Good lead-in. I like
Look
that.
at that. I'm getting better at
You
this.
are getting
I
good.
could be a professional.
Yeah, I thought you were.
All right, so our guest tonight, Tom, why don't you introduce him, and I'll pull him in because I'm sure this is him.
Well, he actually, did he say invented?
I don't know.
Started the website.
Well, he was co-founder
of the website Bangshift. Brian?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, bud. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. We're just trying to get through another day of the show. We had a meltdown on our board 10 minutes before we opened. Nothing was working.
Oh, nice.
And then that meltdown, of course, leads to my meltdown. So I just all out of sorts.
Well, I'm just here weighing some connecting rods, so I was waiting to come on.
Nice. So just to give the people out there a little background, I was talking to somebody a while back about something. I don't know. I'll be as nondescript as possible. And I got a message that we should have this guy on, and he started Bangshift. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And then we find out that, like, he did all this other shit, too. Like,
yeah, Bangshift was the tip of the iceberg. Brian is responsible for a lot of other things. And, Brian, I know it's hard, but could you tell us a little bit about, like, how you got into Bangshift or how you got to where you are right now? And then we'll talk about the things you do.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Bangshift story is a pretty good one. So the way the Bangshift started was actually kind of out of the failure of something else. We've like mastered failure. So this is it all kind of works together. But David Freiberger from Hot Rod and Chad Reynolds had started a website called Car Junkie TV, which was kind of ahead of the curve a little bit. Like, it was real video heavy, and they were doing a lot of neat stuff. But they had kind of funding from a lot of venture capital money in 2008, and we all know what happened then. The bottom fell out of that, and they went out of business. And at the time, I had known David for years as a freelancer for Hot Rod and similar magazines. And I had known Chad a while because he and I had been on the first drag week together back in 2005. So I had been doing some work for them, just kind of blogging, like just doing some writing work and a little bit of video work for them. So when Car Junkie crashed, David came to me and he's like, "Hey, dude, like the three of us should team up and do something." I said, "Okay." And so we reformed. We got like the message board or something was the only thing left out of Car Junkie that was worth anything. So we got that, and basically we took that message board and started what was called Freiberger's Junkyard. That was the first name of the website. Well, David had to go back to work at Hot Rod. He got his job back at Hot Rod Magazine, so we went back there, and Chad and I changed the name to Bangshift, and that's what it's been ever since. So that whole thing kind of took place like 2008, and then early 2009 is when it became Bangshift, and we've just been plugging away at it ever since, man.
Gotcha. So the Bangshift thing, I'm actually involved with a website that's certainly not the level of Bangshift, even remotely close to the level of Bangshift. But it kind of started the same way, and this is kind of the funny thing. You can't engineer a community. Like, no matter, like the people, like even Facebook, take a look at all these things. They all kind of started, I don't want to say by accident, but they were never expected to grow into what they are today. It's really kind of bizarre. I mean, if we had the formula to engineer a community, we'd all be killing it.
Can I say one of the words that they use in those trades?
Sure, go ahead.
It happened organically.
Yeah. Organically, yes.
Yeah, you gotta use the buzzwords. Right?
Right.
It was organic. You're right. It's a good combination of personalities and people, and you're right. We always wanted it to work, and we hoped it would work, but then when it actually does work, you kind of look around and go, "Holy crap, this is working!" So you're right. It's not something you can engineer, and all the pieces have to kind of come together for it to work.
Now, when you look at the top of Bangshift, all the other types like 1320 videos and all that stuff, is that all sort of under the Bangshift umbrella?
Yeah. We basically what we did last year was we added a couple what we call like sub-sites. Because like our front page always has like all different stuff on it. Like any given day, you'll see everything from a lot of drag racing stuff or touring stuff and high-level trucks and tractors. So it'll be like steam tractors and anything that we run across at school, we'll kind of cover. But there are people that just want to see drag racing content, or they just want to see touring stuff, or they just want to see stuff about trucks. And if you go to like Bangshift XL, all it is truck stuff. And if you go to Bangshift, what we call Bangshift Apex, all it is it's all like pro touring or stock car racing, road racing stuff. And then Bangshift 1320, pretty self-explanatory. That's just all drag racing stuff. So we're trying to get people to kind of whatever they want to. If they just want to see that specific stuff, go to those specific places. And if you want the whole disaster that is our front page every day, then just go there.
Hey, did you, just curiously, I know you've been at this for a little while, longer than I thought. Did you see it grow like slowly in the beginning and then start to multiply almost like exponentially?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the cool thing about us, in my opinion, is that like we started with no money and we started with nobody reading, and we just did it every day. And there's like one of the reasons that you'll see websites like come up real fast and they'll make a big splash and then they just kind of disappear is because it sucks. It sucks to spend hours doing good quality work and having no one read it.
Yeah, eight people commented on what you wrote after 6 months.
Right, and but the thing is, like, the people ultimately that succeed, and one of the phrases I like, and my wife tried to say it, but it's like, we were too dumb to give up. We were too stupid to think that this wouldn't work. And part of that is what I think the attitude you have to have if you're gonna, be successful on the internet. Is like you just got to put your head down and do it, and not be concerned with out the gate who's reading it and who's watching it. For two reasons: one, because nobody will read it and nobody will watch it, and two, it's probably not that good anyway. So when by the time you get someone looking at your stuff, you'll have actually done it long enough that you've gotten good at it. And,
right. Well, it's kind of funny because when this all first started, somebody else who has now had 2 turns in the barrel today already, he said to me, he goes, well, I think that, you've done some kind of nice stuff here. I think you'll get it, you'll get maybe 150, 200 people listening. And I mean, I got to tell you, the way that we did it is we published stuff, kind of a chunk of them after we had some done. Yeah, and we thought we were comfortable doing it. Yep. And then it's exactly what Tom said and exactly what you said, exponentially. I mean, there was a bunch of times that when we put Mixler up, and even right now, I mean, podcasts by nature, I mean, this, they're not live. Not many podcasts do this live. And, sure. We've got, like, there'll be 17, 30 people, like today, right now there's 17. But that's what happens. It just seems like I guess as long as you put out good material, sooner or later, hopefully people will find you. Organically.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And I guess the key element of the thing is to, you guys have a mission of what you want to do and you stick to your guns and you do it, and, people start paying attention. The other thing that you did that is like the smart way to do things is you started publishing them when you had a couple done and in the can already. And, like the one thing that people underestimate, I think, as far as the web stuff is, like, if you're not, in my opinion, if you got a blog and you're not updating it every single day, then people think it's dead and not gone and out of business. So, like, we produce basically 14 to 16 stories every day for the front page of the website.
Wow.
And, the majority of those are getting written, like the night before, or if something crazy happens, like when Terry McMillan had that Chernobyl like explosion in Houston or whatever. Yep. It's Frigo had the big crash, so some of that stuff, I was able to get that stuff posted pretty quick because I was getting texts from guys going, "Holy crap! Wait till you see the video of this." But as you guys know, there are days when you sit down to do this and you might be like, "Oh man," but then you look around and you go, "Holy crap!" Like I should not be complaining about this. Number one, and then number two, it's like, this is what you love to do, and it's great, and that's why your guys' show is great.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, all right, so, we can talk more about Bangshift, but I'm still crazy impressed with all the other stuff. Like I didn't realize that you were the full-time announcer for NHRA, the Pro Series events.
Yeah, so I'm
kind of a big deal.
Yeah, no, that's a really. I'm one of the things I'm proud of, I guess, is being able to be on the announcing staff for NHRA, and I do the majority of the events every year. There are some events that, to lead into another topic, my wife and I are co-owners of a land speed racing organization, and we actually had a race this weekend. So I was not down in Houston. I had some other guys down there that are great that were down there working. But I do the majority of the events on NHRA deal, and that's something that I'm proud of, just because I've always been a huge drag racing guy, and New England Dragway is like my home place, and I started there like every other kid. I worked in tech on Wednesday nights, and then I got to announce a little bit. When I became the Saturday day announcer, I thought I couldn't possibly get any better than that. And over the years, I worked with IHRA for many years. I worked with Brian Olson, unfortunately the late Brian Olson, for a bunch of years, doing pretty much all the IHRA events. And then now I do obviously with NHRA, and I do most of the NMRA and NMCA stuff around the country, and I do some independent events, and I live in a suitcase.
Yeah, that's gotta be a lot of travel load for sure.
Yeah, that's, I guess, the Dave McClellan said last year. I the NMCA West Banquet last year, and I got to go out to that, and he got a lifetime achievement award, and in the big Dave McClellan booming voice, he said, "Unfortunately, it's not a job you can do from your living room couch." I guess that's true.
Yeah. Hey, if I go to a lot of the races, NHRA, NMCA, PDRA. So if you ever need a celebrity guest, just to say, hey, you could get the
absolutely,
one of the celebrities from Power and Speed podcast.
We'll have to get you a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make it happen. We can totally make that happen.
Okay, done.
Are you gonna be in Atlanta?
I am going to be in Atlanta.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out then. We'll get you up in there.
Okay.
There we go.
Good.
Dipping on our Kool-Aid just to further his own career.
Yeah, that's right.
You're gonna be the guy that goes out on your own at some point. Tom goes solo.
Doing what?
I don't know.
He's gonna break up the band.
Ringo.
Doubtful.
Yeah.
Doubtful. So the land speed deal, which is also cool. We chatted about it a little bit today. Tell us a little bit about your deal, and then we can get into talking about Bonneville, because I think we had some guys that were interested in Bonneville shit, right?
Yes.
And they haven't run there in a while.
Salt problem.
But anyway, talk about your deal.
Yeah, we're co-owners of the East Coast Timing Association, which is a standing mile land speed racing, outfit, sanctioning body, I guess respectively. And the company started in North Carolina, and they ran for years down at a place called Maxton, North Carolina. They lost that facility and moved up to a really nice place up in Wilmington, Ohio. And Wilmington is basically located right between Cincinnati and Columbus, southwestern Ohio. And so we basically rent half of this airport a couple times a year, and we put on these standing mile land speed events. So we have guys show up with highly modified street cars. We had a Hot Rod Magazine event last weekend called the Top Speed Challenge, where guys got to show up with street legal stuff, and it's basically for the most basic explanation, it's a 1 mile long drag strip buy run, if you can think of it that way. Our runway is almost 2 miles long there, so you have a mile run up, and then you have a little over 3/4 of a mile of shutdown. And our fastest car of the event was 233 miles an hour, and that was actually Ron Kozlowski, who is Brad Kozlowski, the stock car racer. His dad actually races with us. He races one of Brad's old stock cars with a really highly modified old Dodge Cup motor in it.
Wow.
We had the fastest street legal car we had on the property went 229, and a whole bunch of stuff that's real fast. We had a motorcycle go 244, Hayabusa on nitrous, and it's really the cool thing about land speed racing. I think from my perspective and the Bangshift perspective is just that the people are great, and then the stuff that they come up with. It's we had a dude that raced the steam powered motorcycle last year. We got guys, any weird, you can't even imagine some of the bizarre. We had a guy show up with a tractor, an 8N4 tractor that went 96 miles an hour. Yeah, we had a tractor. We have a class for tractor trailer trucks. We had a guy come in with basically it was a bone stock Volvo rig, and think he went like 83 or something. He set a record, so he got a record certificate. But
Nice.
it's a lot of fun. We have a 200 mile an hour club there, which in order to get in our 200 mile an hour club, you have to you got to set a record. And other places that run this stuff, you just have to run 200. But we want to talk about Bonneville. So one of the things I'll reference is that our setup is basically almost like a miniature version of Bonneville in the sense that we run a rule book that's very similar to theirs. So it's a very dedicated class structure. We don't typically have not that we don't want them. If they meet our safety tech, we take them, but we don't typically have the Lamborghini, Ferrari guys. Most of our guys are more the hardcore, racers from home, motorcycles, and all that kind of stuff.
Now, the street car that went 229, what kind of car was that?
That was a third-gen Pontiac Firebird, and this is cool because this was like an old-school, like blunt-force trauma fast car with a big-inch nitrous motor in it. It wasn't. We had two categories in that shootout. The guy who went to 229 had a big block on spray, and then the guy who won the second category went 222, and that was in a 2007 body Mustang, but it's a full two chassis style car with like a 420-inch small block Ford with a pair of real big turbos on it.
Wow. That'd be a good event to go to.
That's funny when he said brute force. Yeah, brute force versus like finesse.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the flip side, we have guys that show up with 50 and 125cc motorcycles that go 52 miles an hour and lose their mind if they set a record.
Hey, man.
And I'm not putting them down. Those guys, they work as hard as anybody else, and it's as much fun to watch a guy tuck in on a 100cc bike and go 50 and lose his mind as it is to watch a guy go, 200 and set a record.
Probably worried about every minute detail of a bearing.
Gotta
make
be.
sure that, because everything matters.
Yep.
Probably measuring his oil with an eyedropper.
We should try to set the record for a Honda Ruckus next year.
What the hell's a ruckus?
That's one of those little scooter things.
Oh, Christ.
I'll tell you what, we had a guy in a 50cc scooter go 56 mile an hour this weekend, which is a fairly significant accomplishment.
Dude, we
can
can beat that.
Oh, those little Polini things? Like those little scooter things, those stupid things. I had those pocket bike things. Some of those things made like 40-something horsepower. They were no joke. They go like 70.
He just called us out on the 50cc deal. We can go 70 miles an hour.
I think we could.
Holy cow.
Let's do it. We got resource, man.
We're going to have to get the class rules because I know I could do this.
Well, we know a guy.
Who?
Him.
Send your rule book.
No, I mean the rules.
Come up with the greatest creation known to man.
Yeah, we're going to do it. We'll do it with two guys on the bike, both of us with helmets on.
Listen, well, you're bitch. No, okay?
It's a funny thing is there's not a lot of crossover. I mean, there is on the streetcar side, but on the actual equipment side, there's not a lot of crossover between drag cars and land speed stuff, which you think the stuff would cross over easily. But for the first time really ever, we had two kind of dedicated drag cars show up, one of which worked really well. The second one worked terribly. And I will not name any names, of course, but as you guys know, you've been around this stuff forever. Like within 2 seconds if someone has come to a racing event for the first time with way too much confidence that they're going to be successful.
Yep.
So we had a guy come in with an X-Drag car that he had set up, and he was, proudly telling our tech officials that he was going to, it would probably go about 260, 265. That was where he was going. He left with a 118-mile-an-hour time ticket in his hand and a whole lot of work to do to figure it out. So,
this sounds oddly familiar to this guy sitting to my right here. I've been to a lot of half-mile events, and I've seen a lot of cars go really fast. And, Mike swears that you could put a big tire car out anywhere and go 300 miles an hour because they just have enough power to do it. And I always swore that they couldn't. Maybe you could shed some light onto that scenario.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, this was the first event on kind of a trial basis. We normally don't allow drag slicks. We normally, most guys, the majority of guys will run a drag radials, what the typical tire is on most of this stuff. And we actually had a couple guys that we allowed to come in almost as a kind of a test to run drag slicks. So the guy that in the car that did not work had a set of slicks on the back of it. But it was an unsuspended car, and our runway is beautiful and it's long and very smooth, but you can still develop kind of almost a harmonic going down there.
Yeah. So it was a hardtail dragster or something?
It was an altered, actually.
God.
Oh, boy.
It was an altered.
That's a handful, even if everything's good.
In a quarter mile, it's a handful.
Yes.
That's a
The
nut.
guy that did work really good was a guy that showed up with a Top Sportsman. It was actually a Top Sportsman Chevy Beretta that, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the United Manual Transmission Racers. They're like a group that runs in the middle of the country, all stick shift stuff. Really
Yeah, heads up stuff with like the Texas Pro Stock engine in it.
I think so.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
They got a bunch of different classes, but this dude showed up with his car, like a 600-inch big block with a Liberty, and he had put like a 330-something gear set in the thing. And we have a licensing procedure, so if you're, if AJ Floyd rolled up, he would still have to go 125, and then go 150, and then go 175 before we let him go 200. So this dude shows up in the basically the Top Sportsman Firebird, super nice guy. He made his slow runs, and then the car made his 175 pass it made the 175 mile an hour pass like literally coasting through the lights. So we were really excited to see what it was going to run when he took a full bore. So the next time down the racetrack was in fact this full bore run, and he pulled a chute at like 0.8 of a mile, and it was hauling. Visually, it looked like it was going way over 200. And because my announcing deck and our timing tower is at the finish line there. But anyway, he came around to get his time ticket, and I went down to talk to him, and his eyes were like as big around as like trash can lids. And I go, dude, how fast is it going when you pulled the chute? And he said, I've been 175 on the drag strip in this car, and he said, I have no idea how fast I was. He goes, but the whole thing started to shake, and I just had to shut it off. So he loved it. He said it was like the most fun he'd had, and the tires checked out when we were like paying attention to what the slicks would do out there and how they kind of handled the surface. Everything looked good. So we'd like to get more of those guys to come over. We got a guy that runs a 1090 index car that he said he puts a deep gear in, 55 Chevy. He comes out, runs the thing like 165 mile an hour. It's just fun to watch.
I'm going to go there and go set the Subaru record.
Subaru, green Forester.
With the Forester?
With what? Red brake calipers?
It's a black Forester with red brake calipers. I'll set that record.
Yeah, if you get the red brake calipers, we're going to move you up a class.
Yeah, you get a whole different class, and you could be the fastest guy.
Yeah, there you go.
So, is it your position that a real good pro modified car could not beat these guys on that kind of surface?
No, I think it's possible. I think the first time out would be a real challenge, but I think given the way the guys can collect data, I think it's definitely feasible.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm myself nervous about, especially in like a pro modified style car, is the fact that you saw what happened in Houston to Gray's car with that rear tire coming apart. And, the runways inherently are a lot more. There's a lot more friction. There's a lot more. The surface is rough everywhere you go. Drag strip obviously very smooth in terms of, especially if it's all concrete. Our runway, if you can picture it, it's a nicely poured concrete runway. It was only made like 15 years ago in terms of runways. It's practically brand new, but it's siped. So like every inch there is a groove cut in this thing.
Yeah.
The entire 2 miles of it. And if you get a slick tire car out there and it feeds a lot of power to it, and it's going to, like a cheese grater, it's going to tear those tires to pieces.
Yeah.
Yep. And really,
Tom Bailey with that drag week card, stated that his goals were to, have a street legal car that went 250 in the quarter and that he could drive 300 in the mile somewhere.
And nobody's done that yet, right?
Correct.
Yeah, see, that's what you thought was going to be so easy, and nobody's done it. And people are trying.
Listen, I'm not.
Oh, I know. None of us knew. We were just, we used to fight about everything. When we first started doing the show, we just had subjects that we were talking about because we didn't know. Like, I'm an all-wheel drive guy, and there's people all anti all-wheel drive, and we would fight like a bunch of idiots. But yeah, we don't know. But the fact is, nobody's. What about that?
I know.
Well, I know you know. Mike does know. What about that Pro Mod guy that was going to do it? With that wasn't a 57 Chevy or some kind of crazy car. He set out to go 300
This
somewhere.
is the guy I was talking about. The guy that Scott Clark was involved with. That's the guy.
That's the guy?
That's the guy.
He's the guy. You know a guy.
The way I always looked at this is that, like, we had Anthony DeSoma on a bunch of times in the beginning. We really should get him back at some point because we didn't.
Oh yeah, that dude's awesome.
Yeah, he's great. I have known Anthony since, like, I guess he was probably 17, and I was probably, I think I'm a couple years older than him. I mean, and the greatest, he's always the same guy.
I know.
He never changes.
Yep.
But we talked about it, and we were trying to figure it out. And, if Anthony ran his car out the back, the mile per hour it would go would be stupid if they ran it in a quarter.
Yeah.
You know, especially. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say. I mean, the great the great thing about land speed racing is it's never the horsepower that's the problem. It's the air. You know, literally the enemy of every land speed racer is the air, and you know, you can put a troll mod body in a wind tunnel and look at it and test it and everything, and the map works out great on paper. But when you actually try to push that thing through the air at 300 miles an hour, literally no one knows what's going to happen.
Well,
yeah, and then the air changes and different directions and that kind of stuff.
And first off, let's do this. Let's just be fair about this.
Okay.
I didn't say that Anthony would go 300. I said it would be possible.
No, I got you.
But I did say that Anthony would beat the hell out of your guy with your Nissan, whatever GTR thing.
Yeah, you did say that.
I did.
But nobody's done that.
But here's
yet.
why. Like, even what Brian just said, this is what I would say to that. Anthony could run his car, and a Pro Mod guy could run their car down the quarter mile and probably go 275. Probably. Maybe I don't even know where Anthony left off, like where he thought he could go, or if anybody has actually gone that fast.
Yeah.
Troy Koppel went 274 last year at the Super National. So there you go.
Yeah, you can go 275.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at 275, the air at 275 is the air at 275 is the air at 275. So the car will work. So to me, it's just a matter of, can you put it to the ground enough over that duration to be in a half mile to be able to achieve your quarter mile per hour top speed. And
I've always said it's the surface.
Yeah.
That's what I've always said. And having a groove, an anti-hydroplaning groove every 2 inches is it's gonna have trouble. We're gonna start having this fight again.
I wonder if you upset Scott Clark. He's on here.
How did I upset him? I didn't say anything.
I didn't get to offend anybody yet.
I didn't say anything. Do you know Scott Clark? Brian?
I know Scott Clark very well. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm
Can we bring him in?
Hang on a second. Like, I spent a lot for this phone system. I'm going to use it. Scott, you there?
Hey. Yeah, I'm here. What's going on?
Hey, buddy.
All right. Well, we're just going to sit here and you and Brian can talk.
Man, I was dying. I had to call in because if you go to Bonneville, there is no shortage of overconfident drag car guys that are sure they're going to go 300 miles an hour and don't.
So Scott's on my side, buddy. Nice.
It's a lot harder than it looks.
Hey, Scott, listen, I got one question real quick, then we can get on to you making fun of Mike. So next year, Mike and I are going to build a 50cc Honda Ruckus, and we're going to try to set the record at one of these events. Can you tune it for us?
That is also not as... I'll tune it for you. I'll try, man, but that is also not going to be as easy as you think.
Well, with my fat ass on the thing, it's not going to be. We'll hire a rider. We'll get it done.
There are guys legitimately working at it, so get your little homemade dyno ready.
Well, they don't have the resources that I got.
Right, okay. Well, we'll try it.
I would still stand.
Hassle loans. I don't want to interrupt the flow. This guy gives great interviews.
I will leave you with this, Scott. I will still stand on. What was, Tom, how fast is your GTR guy, your underground or underwater Lambo guys, whatever the hell they are?
Well, they go 233 in a standing half mile.
All right, standing half mile.
Yeah.
I would bet every ounce of money in my pocket, and I tried this, but then the way the rules worked is they couldn't go there with a drag tire, and even your guy said, well, with a big tire like that, well, I don't know. They kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit.
Yeah, they did.
The bet was, could Anthony DeSoma go faster in a standing half mile than one of your guys?
Yep.
And you said no, and I said yes.
Yep, I would still take that bet.
Okay.
Unprepped.
Scott, any opinion on that before I hang up on you?
Unprepped grooves in the runway?
I don't know. I don't make predictions like that. Who knows? That's a good one. All I know is he's got to bring the right safety equipment. That's the coolest thing about these East Coast timing guys, is they're really serious about their safety. And a lot of the supercar guys don't want to put the equipment in there to go that fast safely, and that's kind of a personal opinion of mine. But if you get those guys lined up, that would be interesting to see. I say bring them to the mile.
Me too. Mm-hmm. It would be fun.
Yep.
We should just get it done.
By far, the best of the standing mile events is what Lohnes and those guys are doing. It's the next best thing to Bonneville. We consider it Bonneville practice.
Nice.
Yeah, and a lot of guys do, and we're totally that's where we're at. So yeah, totally.
All right, cool. All right, Scott. Well, thanks for calling and thanks for still listening. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
and,
we do.
You got to hook up with Tom to get one of your conferences scheduled up here. I don't know if Tom got to that yet.
On it now. I got to wrap up some preparations for that race in Texas this weekend, and then I'm on setting up a new class.
All right,
Perfect.
Cool. Well, we'll be talking then.
All right, see you guys.
See you,
Thanks,
Scott.
man.
So are Anthony's ears ringing somewhere else?
I'd split my money in half to you and half to him. I have faith in Anthony. put a whooping right on that
I don't know.
Lamborghini or whatever.
I don't know. Hey, so Brian, when's your next event? Because I gotta buy a ruckus now, or I gotta buy something, buy some kind of thing.
So the next land speed event is third weekend in June. The next drag race I have is Atlanta, and 2 weeks, or not this weekend, but next weekend.
Okay. Do you have any jet ski classes?
Electric.
We don't have a jet ski class yet, but present some engineering proposals, and maybe we could get.
Because
We have a ringer for that.
Because we got to go out there and set a record on our first try. So it's either that or roller skates.
Yeah, but we got a ringer.
The coolest thing that we've had so far is the guy with the steam-powered motorcycle that quite literally built the thing himself and went 100-some mile an hour in this thing, and broke some ancient land speed record that had existed since 1892 or something.
I remember
that's
that
really cool. That is really cool.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'd want to straddle all that pressurized steam pressure though. I don't know about that.
The good thing is we have a bunch of guys who we can lean on for engineering expertise on the steam stuff, because you're right. You're talking about a ton of pressure, and there is a danger element there. So before anybody that's listening, if you're going to you want to put a locomotive on a set of drag radials, make sure you send us the drawings first.
Okay.
Listen, I'd be real good at betting, but there ain't a chance I'm getting on any of this stuff.
No, we can't. We can't.
The ruckus, I could do the ruckus. I could do that.
I think we put Tad on the ruckus.
Yeah, you're close to the ground.
Yeah.
If you fall, you're not falling far.
No.
And you could skid a little ways with leathers and be okay. At 50, 60, I'm cool. I could roll around at that.
Screw the ruckus. I'm doing it with a rascal.
Okay. I don't even know what that is. Well,
never mind.
Well, what else you want to plug, Brian? You do other stuff.
So I'm involved in the, ECTA, obviously, and Bangshift, and, I'm involved with the NHRA Promo television show, which is pretty cool, so I'm kind of the co-host guy for that at the races that I'm at, which obviously last weekend wasn't one of them. And, I don't know, I guess my philosophy at this point is if I have 1,000 jobs that each pay me $100 a year, I can, eat and pay the mortgage. So,
and not only that, you could lose a couple of them, ain't a big deal.
Yeah, really.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's right. But no, it's great. I mean, I have a lot of fun doing the races, the NMRA, NMCA stuff. I really love drag racing and all of its various elements. So I try to stay as well rounded in the sport as I can. So being able to be out there with the radial guys and the small tire stuff that NMCA and NMRA really do a good job with has been a lot of fun. And I don't know. I guess I'm kind of like Mr. Ray of Sunshine when it comes to drag racing these days, because I think the sport right now is in a really good place. I think if you look at what's been going on, there's a lot of racetracks that are being refurbished and rebuilt and spruced up, which is cool. There's a lot of racing series that are doing really well right now, and there's a lot of people that hate no prep racing, but at the same time, it's packing these little racetracks, and that means people are making money and the sport's doing well. So,
yep, no doubt.
It's a good time to be a drag racing fan.
I'm actually a big fan of the no prep stuff. Like
Me
a
too.
guy asked the other day about, the 10.5-inch tire stuff and how fast the guys are going and are setting records. The problem is if you don't follow that stuff, 10 years ago, if you asked me about NHRA Superstock, I could tell you the top 16 and where they were and who won class and, who's the guy to look out for. But when you stop with that stuff changes. So the guy last week was asking me all about 10.5-inch tire records, and I went and I looked at a couple. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah. What are they doing? Yeah.
But I mean, when you get into stuff like this, it's hard for me to comment on all the ins and outs. So that's why to me it was great to talk about the pro stock and what was going to happen with the electronic injected side.
Yep.
And I did see that, unfortunately, I'm not bashing NHRA, especially since, what Brian's involved with, but what they have, 13 cars at Houston?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's kind of you can't really judge by that because they rained out.
Yeah.
And I don't remember, did NHRA call it late? Because I heard.
Believe it, they actually did finish the race, but it was between the raindrops type thing.
Yeah.
But they did actually finish the thing, which nobody thought they were going to. And
they got it in on the scheduled dates?
What's that? Yeah, they finished it on Sunday afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty miraculous. I mean, especially between the weather and all the other sideshow they had going on there with guys bouncing off the walls and over the place and blowing up craters in the track, So, yeah, but they did get it done.
Wow.
Well, the no prep thing to me, I think, invigorated a lot of aspects of the sport.
Sure.
And I mean, I don't, again, we talk about the safety aspect. And look, we've talked about Street Outlaws, and, we know that it's more staged, and there are things that aren't, but a lot of it's staged. But, I mean, we're not fans of the street stuff, but, the no prep stuff is kind of as close as you could get to lining up next to the guy on the highway. I think that's why it's exciting.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the three elements there are like the safety argument to me is kind of like a specious argument in no prep because nobody's really going that fast. And that leads me to the second point, which is the reason that no prep racing is brilliant and that the reason people should be paying attention to it is because you have drag strips that are blown out full of people that have no idea how fast the cars are running and no idea what the ETs are, and they don't care. And the biggest element is the fact that they're only there to see the cars and the people that have the cars because they know who these guys are. To me, what it validates is on some level, in a weird way, it validates Wally Parks' old idea that the cars were, the famous part of this whole thing. Those kids that are sitting in the grandstands, they don't care if the thing goes 6 seconds in the 8th mile as long as, Birdman gets down the racetrack ahead of, Johnny Two Fingers or whatever the guy is.
Right.
That's true. That's true. I have so many things going through my head right now about I was just thinking, he's going to be at all the NHRA races. Maybe we should try to put something together, like for a live show out in Vegas at the he goes out for NHRA.
Let me explain something to you. I have a hard enough time making shit work here.
Oh, shut up.
We just saw it.
You can make it happen.
There's a little more that's going to come out of what went on before we started the show because I'm gonna have some editing work to do because I did notice that capture, which is what we use to grab.
Yep.
But you see, I put redundancies in place.
Yep.
Aha. Capture stopped 10 minutes in.
Wow.
And I hit start again at about 16. So what's going to happen is when people listen to this very smooth professional broadcast, they are going to hear the already mixed channel, however it went out over the air, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden it's going to have to transition into the real recording.
Oh, jeez.
But I'm not losing another one. It ain't happening again. I wouldn't mind.
That's a full-on Bangshift production right there, man.
It's what you got to do. I wouldn't mind trying to do something somewhere. And I mean,
or we could just go out there and have dinner with these guys and bullshit.
We could do that. I mean, there are ways that we could kind of package this and make it real portable. I mean, because it doesn't have to sound like this.
No,
if this is even good.
This is good.
Speaking of dinner, I do have to jump off the phone. We're actually on the way back from that ECK meet. We got to catch kids before they hit the sack for the night. So I'm sorry to bail on you guys.
No. You've been great, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, and you're welcome to call in, and we will end up looking you up someplace when we're out and about.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and next week in Atlanta, you got my number. Find me. I'll sneak you into the booth for some
there you
some clandestine Molly promo action.
Nice. All right, we'll do it.
All right, Brian, thanks.
Not Molly. Sorry.
Yes, that's all right. I would have fixed that before we started talking.
See you, fellas.
All right, man. See you.
Bye-bye.
Brian from Bangshift.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. It was fun.
That's a high-level guy.
He's doing a lot of things at once.
We must be getting popular.
Do you realize that in the beginning I was sitting here seething at the fact that capture stopped? I was just...
But then you remembered you had redundancy?
Yeah, and I hope the redundancy worked well. If not, we'll just pick up it. I think I started it like right when he came on. I saw it stopped. So maybe I got part of it. Maybe I'm just missing a little gap and I can do some creative...
You fill it in?
Yeah, I'd do something.
Stitch it in?
Well, I mean, Mixlr does record it, but I honestly don't know how it sounds. I've never listened to it on Mixlr. I've never played back the Mixlr link. So I have 3 sources to get this from.
I've listened to it live, and it sounds fine.
Yeah, but you're listening on your telephone.
Okay. How else would you listen to it?
Well,
the computer.
I listen on the computer.
Well, it's the same thing, right? Headphones.
I feel bad. I didn't even mention that Jeff Fireman's here because I was out of sorts. And
Jeff's here.
Howdy.
Jeff has his car together.
Finally.
And I told him, I said, as soon as it's done, bring it up here. I want to see it.
The Copo SS.
Are you going to race him?
No, not tonight. I don't think that's advisable.
No.
Jeff.
I didn't mean tonight.
Well, yeah. Well, we're going to do that at some point. Of course, at a racetrack. No prep.
Yeah.
Well,
course,
or Mexico.
No street racing done here anywhere.
I think the 3 of us should go. I got the gauges done in my car, and it's going to get tuned this week. The final big boy tune.
Okay.
So I think the 3 of us should race.
My thing's going to go like 14.0.
No, it's not. Shut up. Your car's plenty fast.
But Jeff, you got So you basically turned your SS into an LSA type motor, correct?
Correct.
Was the R1 SS?
ZL1.
ZL1.
Yeah. The ZR1 is the bigger blower.
Ah, okay.
So he's got the baby blower.
Mm-hmm.
Now you didn't do anything heads wise or anything. This is stock bottom.
I do have a ZR1 cam in the car.
Okay, but the heads are stock. Like
Yeah.
none of that shit's done. So it's
Yeah.
pretty much just a change camshaft, blower, and induction stuff to make it work,
Yep.
and then a tune.
That's it.
And I know you because we've talked about it. You spent a lot of time at the track with it already. You know how fast it goes.
Correct.
So you're gonna be able to really nail down what you picked up.
Definitely.
How
Nice.
fast did it go? Before
60.
that's pretty good.
Full weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all right.
Nice car, AC, driving it home.
Mm-hmm.
And you hadn't really done anything other than kind of basic modifications, right? Like no, I mean, like we just said, no,
Exhaust.
yeah, exhaust, no heads, no nothing like that. And that thing is kind of heavy, right? Not picking on it, but it's got
30, 39,
yeah,
41 with
yeah.
me in it.
that's up there,
That's
Yeah.
up there.
definitely.
And it's a luxury car.
Everything is now.
Yeah.
So
And what did it go? 1240? 1260?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still
112.
it's still fast.
It's pretty damn good.
I mean, you put a regular person in a 12-second car, and they're like, oh my god.
If Jeff Chang's on here, I'll race him in Mexico.
Well, Jeff Chang would race anybody anywhere.
Yeah.
Actually,
Well, I know that at some point we got to have Jeff on,
Yeah,
and
we
we
do.
got to get JJ on. JJ should be working in his spare time. I hope. he's
JJ
not.
doesn't have spare time.
Oh, yeah.
He just bought another machine, another
Yeah, I saw that.
horizontal, a big boy CNC machine.
Yes, Tad was all excited because I guess it's a Mazak, which is
No, it's a Haas.
is it us? I thought it was Mazak.
See, full of misinformation. Tad, fantastic. But
It's definitely a Haas.
JJ
It says
is,
Haas on it. So that was
JJ is preparing a motor for Thaddeus,
yeah, yep.
and
he
we
is.
will have his busted ass Subaru running again.
Soon, very soon.
Yeah, he's close.
Yep.
So everybody's getting something done except me. But I did make progress in looking towards a 2010 Grand Sport. I actually have a friend of mine who has a line on one. It's pretty cheap, and of all things, it has a broken motor.
Nice.
Really?
Broken motor and out of warranty.
What color is it?
Yellow.
Shut up.
Oh.
Yes, it's yellow, but
course,
it's not a
Of
convertible.
course.
That's all right. It shouldn't. That's better.
I would prefer a convertible.
I know,
but
but
that's okay.
maybe safer.
No, so
You know what? Can you get a yellow ruckus?
Well, of course, if we get a Rux. Even if we got a Rapid, it'll be yellow.
All right. Well, I mean, I think today was pretty good. And
Yeah.
again, I apologize for everybody for being absent for 2 weeks. But just so we know going forward, the policy will be is that if sorry, Ted, but if Tom ain't here, I ain't doing it on my own unless we have a guest lined up. I'm not hating on you, Ted. You're over there glaring at me with like one of your Ted smirks, but it's rough.
Well, it's just hard with two guys.
It is hard
it's
with
not
two
Tad's
guys.
fault.
And even with Jeff, I had talked to him later on. He's like, dude, and I was,
Yeah, he said he would have come in. So
yeah, but by the time that I knew, because of your situations, the things that you had going on,
that
there
was a
there-
surprise.
Yeah, there was no timing.
Yep.
So there are going to be times that we miss, and we tried, like Brian said from Bangshift, to put stuff in the can that we could just publish later. But then it's really goofy.
Yeah,
Like,
'cause
it's
'cause
hard-
It's time sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about it and not get the time right. Like not talk about things that happened today. And, and maybe we're just overlooking it because everybody's listening to old shit anyway. But you don't want to be going through and going through and going through and then all of a sudden have something that drops back 2 weeks and say, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
So we'll figure some stuff out so we don't have too many gaps.
Yep.
So, all right. Anything else from the Associated
Tad,
peeps?
Bueller? Nope. Not at this point.
Fireman.
I can bring up the on the 4 wide nationals. I saw, pretty sure it was Pro Stock doing all 4 down the track at once too. So
Yeah,
it's
they-
like the 4-4-4. It's kind of shorten up the.
yeah, they've been doing that for
event.
years.
Well, somebody said that's impossible, but they're not here. So.
Listen, you're talking to the guy that I talked to for 30 minutes and they came in here and forgot everything. So this is all new to him. When he sees something on TV, it might be new.
TV is God.
Oh my God.
God.
All right then. So anyway, yeah, 4 wide. That's why they call it the 4 wide nationals. But anyway, all right, yeah, it was a good show, I think.
Yep. And we are playing a music outro that's actually not playing in my ears. So I don't know if anybody's hearing
Mine
it.
either.
I'm not hearing it either.
Now, you see, this is just a very frustrating thing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. I'm going to time it what I think post should be. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week, Monday.
We'll
And,
see. We'll see you all Monday.
We're out.
Definitely. Bye.
Later.